Good morning, students. Hope all of you are fine. Today we are going on to discuss a very important item of grammar, that is verb. Verb. Based on its importance, it is called the lifeblood of a sentence. So, as we cannot live without lifeblood, that means blood circulation, so a sentence cannot go, or there cannot be any sentence without verb. So, such important is verb in English. So, you have some idea about verb. That means most of cases, if we ask students what is verb, you say verb means some action, doing something, going, eating, playing, etc. But that is not the complete answer of what is a verb. Verb includes three things other than only doing something or any action. So it includes three concepts. First, as you already know, action. Second, a state of being. A state of being. And the third, it indicates a state of possession. Now, if I go on to explain action, first one, it indicates dynamism. If I say, I am now teaching online, this is one kind of action, dynamism. If you say, you are watching class online, this is also one kind of action. But other than a statement of action, we also include something more in a verb. If I say, I am a teacher, if I say, you are a student, so I am a teacher, in this sentence there is a verb, am. Am here does not denote any action. Or in other sentence, you are students. In this sentence, you are a student, there is a verb, are. Here are does not denote any action, but it indicates a state of being. That means what kind of person, what kind of things, what kind of being someone is. It may be about a place, it may be about a concept. So, verb includes the statement or a state of being. And the thirdly, verb indicates a state of possession. If I say, if you can see, I have a camera, I have a marker in my hand. I have a marker in my hand. So, in this sentence, there is a verb. What is the verb? Have. And if I say in another way, she or he has a camera. In this sentence, has is a verb. But in the first sentence, I have a marker. In the second sentence, he or she has a camera. We have and has. But in neither cases, they do not express any dynamism or action, but the state of possession. That means owning something. Owning something. That means some things or items is in or her possession. So, verb means three things. Any kind of action. Secondly, it means a statement of being, and thirdly, it indicates a statement of any possession. So, I think you have now understood the meaning of verb completely. And then, in our use of verb, we have to we have to understand mood, because all our expressions are related to mood. Now you need to know what is a mood. What I say? Mood. It is from Latin. Latin modus. The word mood comes from Latin word modus. It means so. What is mood? You can see mood. The word mood comes from Latin modus. What is its meaning? Its meaning is mode or manner. So mood is the mood or manner in which a verb is indicated. So when we use any verb, we will have to think on the mood or manner, on how the sense of the verb is indicated or meant. That means what did the word represent? What did the word represent? That means what meaning we want to know from the word verb. We will have to understand mood or manner. And what is its beginning? It is the mood. So we have three kinds of moods in English. We have three kinds of moods in English. First one, indicative mood. Second one, imperative mood. And the third one, subjunctive mood. So all the statements we try to make are in these three moods. First one, if we go on to understand what is the indicative mood, it very simply it indicates two things. Any statement of fact, first one, indicative mood, it indicates two things. A statement of fact. If I say the sun rises in the east, it is a kind of a statement of fact. And in another way, and it may include affirmative, negative, both. If I say I do not smoke, that's also a statement of fact, but it is negative. So in indicative mood, it is the expression of fact, and this expression of fact may be affirmative or may be negative. So all affirmative or negative statements belong to imperative mood, a statement of facts. And then the question, that is also that also belongs to indicative mood. Question, if I say, how are you? Have you taken your lunch? So all these are indicative mood. That means I want to indicate something naturally. And the second one, imperative mood. It is the expression of command, and it includes advice, request, these things. That means in one way, advice, order, request, it is imperative. If I say, do it, go out of the class, come in time, all these belong to imperative mood. And the last one, subjunctive mood. This is very important, because subjunctive mood is a kind of mood wherein we express a sort of unreal wish, which is not in reality, but sometimes we express our prayer, we express our desire, which is not available in the reality. So that sorts of moods are expressed in the third kind of mood, subjunctive mood. And to express subjunctive mood, we will have to use a different kind of language. So you need to know a statement. You need to know a statement belongs to which kinds of mood. If it is imperative mood, then it should be assertive sentence or it should be a question. If it belongs to imperative mood, then you should write in imperative sentence, and if it is in subjunctive mood, then you should write in optative sentence or in exclamatory sentence. So third one, I would like to give example of the third one so that you can understand in a suitable way. And it needs a special skill. If I say, God save the king, I will have to use the exclamation mark at the end of the sentence, and it will mean that it belongs to subjunctive mood. Why? You can see in assertive sentence we cannot write in this way. We should have written God saves the king or God saved the king. But when I see this kind of sentence or when expressed in this way, we should understand this is the example of a subjunctive mood. And in some other cases, we use different grammatical expression for the subjunctive mood. As for example, so this is another example of subjunctive mood. If I were a king, I would help the poor. As I said, in this sentence, this desire is unreal. That means not true statement. This is the expression of supposition. That means unreal wish or desire. If I were, that's why in the grammatical expression you can see were is not commonly used with I. So we have used were. It means that it is the expression of subjunctive mood. In subjunctive mood, we use unreal desire, wish, or also pray. We also say, God save the king. In another way, may. Sometimes we use may also to express subjunctive mood. May God save you. May Allah bless you. So these kind of sentences are in the subjunctive mood. So when you will try to understand verb, you will have to understand these three kinds of moods. Now I will go back to the types of verbs. First types of verbs which you need to know very clearly is finite verb and non-finite verb. First, finite verb. This is very, very important, finite verb, because without it there cannot be any sentence. To make a sentence, you must use a finite verb. So what is the definition of finite verb? The verb which completes the sense of a sentence is called a finite verb. And we have the common forms of finites also. If I use in the board am, is, are, was, were. These are the finite forms for be. Finite forms for be. You can see, you know the verb be. Be is the base form, but these are the finite forms. All these are the finite forms. When you want to make any sensible sentence, meaningful sentence, then you must use am, is, are, was, were. From be. All these are from be. And from be, if you do not want to make it in the finite form, then what are the forms? Again, be, being, been. These are the non-finites form. And what are the non-finites? Non-finites actually do not belong to verb in English. They look like verbs, but they do not complete the sense of a verb. That's why in English they are called non-finites, not non-finite verb. But in Bangla we say they belong to verbs also. But in English they do not belong to. But we explain, we make classification to make students understand. So finite verbs are those verbs which complete the sense. If I ask you what is the corresponding word in Bangla, it is Samapika Kriya. Finite verb is Samapika Kriya in Bangla. So it completes the sense of the sentence, finite verb. Without it, there cannot be any sentence. So that's why finite verb is very, very important. And you can, if I explain it through an example in the sentence, then it will be better, I think. So there is a sentence. We go to college to study. So this is a simple sentence, and there is a finite verb. What is the finite verb? Finite verb is go. You can understand. There is another groups of words which look like verbs, but you can see those group of words looking like verb cannot complete the sense of the verb, complete the sense of the sentence. If we say, we go to college, if I limit this sentence up to this, we go to college, we can complete the sense of the sentence. But if we cross go and then we try to write, we to college to study. We to college to study. So it will not be a meaningful sentence. That means the sense of the sentence will not be completed. So finite verb is that verb which completes the sense of the sentence. Here in these two sentences, in the second one there is no finite verb, so it's not a sentence. It is not a complete sentence. We to college to study. And what is to show here? To study look like verb, so it belongs to non-finite. It belongs to non-finite. So if we try to differentiate finite verbs from non-finite verb in the sentence, then how we will try to differentiate is just try to show. If you eliminate the verb and see that we cannot make sentence, then it will be finite. And then if you see, you eliminate some part of the sentence looking like verb, but it does not make any difference in the sense of the meaning. So in that case you can determine, you can say that yes, it belongs to non-finite. Why? Because it does not make difference in meaning, incomplete the meaning of the sentence. So it is a bit very subtle finite verbs. In another way also you can make definition of finite verbs. If we try to change the number and person of the subject, number and person of the subject of the sentence, then you will find that it is finite verb which changes the form. But if it is non-finite, then it will not change its form. Let me show you in the sentence. If I say, now if I change the person, if I change the person of the subject of the sentence we, if I change into third person and singular number, if I say he go to college to study, then it will not be correct. So what we will have to do? We will have to change the form of the verb. It will be goes. He goes to college instead of go. So in this way, and in another way also, if we try to change the form of the tense, if we want to change the tense, not only the number and person of the subject, if we want to make it the past form, then it will go into went. So in both cases we have found that if we change the number and person of the subject, it was we at the first instance. Now we have changed it into he, and we have seen that the finite verb changes into goes. And if we want to change the tense, and we have seen the change of the verb also changed into went. So this is the example of finite verb. That is, we can define finite verb in two ways. First one, see whether it completes the sense of the sentence, that means meaning of the sentence. Okay? And secondly, you can prove it by changing the number and person of the subject. By changing the number and person of the subject, which we have seen in the example. We have changed the number and person of the subject. What was it? Firstly it was we. Now we have changed it into he. And now we can see the verb form, finite form, which was go in the first instances, has been changed into goes. And secondly, you can see the change by changing the tense of the verb. That is, first instance we wrote, we go to college to study, but now we will have to say we went to college to study. In both instances, we have seen the change of the form of the verb. So it is finite verb. But if we try to change the same in case of non-finites, we will find that non-finites never changes the form. Non-finites never changes the form. Then we can go on to show. From we have changed the subject into he. Then if we want to go on to into the full sentence, he goes to college to study. We have seen no change in the use of to study. Again, if we change the tense from go to went, in that case also we can see we went to college to study. So to study does not change. So non-finites do not change the form. Whether we change the subject according to its number and person, or we change the tense, non-finites never changes the form. So finally, how can you define finite verbs? Finite verbs are those verbs which completes the sense of the sentence. That means which makes clear the meaning of the sentence. You don't have any question about the completion of meaning of the sentence. And how can you prove it? You can prove it whether this is finite verb or not by looking at the forms also. By looking at the forms also, such as examples are still on the board. The finite form from the verb be are, am, is, are, was, were. These are the finite forms. And what are the non-finite forms from the verb be, being, been. They are the non-finite forms. That means you cannot make the meaning of a sentence clearly by using be, being, been. without using other verbs. But you can make the meaning clear of a sentence by using the finite forms of verb like am, is, are, was, were. And non-finites. Finites, I think now it's very much clear to you, finites. Then there are three types of non-finites in English. Non-finites, as we have seen, do not change the form, whether we change the number and person of the subject or we change the tense of the verb. So what are the three non-finites? Let's see. First one, infinitive. Infinitives. Second one, participles. And third one, gerund. Infinitives. There are forms of infinitives in English. These are the forms. Bare infinitive, so infinitives are again classified into three groups. First one, bare infinitive. That means infinitive without to. Let me go. In common use, you might say, let me to go, but we do not use to. So these kind of uses are called use of bare infinitive. You see, go here is the use of infinitive. Here, what is the finite verb? Finite verb is let. Finite verb is let. And then the second one, all of you I think know, to plus verb infinitive. That is the example I have used in the previous cases to show finite verb and non-finite verb. We go to college to study. To study is actually the example of to plus verb infinitive. To plus verb infinitive. And now to have plus past participle form of verb. This is, in rare cases we use these kind of infinitives, but there is use in the grammar. So if I say you are nice to have gone there in time. It is nice to have gone there in time. So to plus have plus gone is an example of non-finites. So I think we should stop here today. In our next class we will continue on where I have finished today. That means continuation on the discussion or explanation of non-finites. We will continue in our next class. Thank you all for today.